Good evening and welcome. I know it is festival time for some of us, and it's busy time basically, Saturday evening. So I'm very glad that you've joined for a topic which is relatively like a topic that is repetitive. I'm sure all of you have already heard a lot about gender sensitivity, right? So somewhere or the other, there is that sense of how what more can we hear about it, and we have two women here on the gender sensitivity topic. So let's see what I was planning. Few things, like, I'm sure keep an open mind, be ready to walk in other shoes because there might be others perspectives. Challenge ideas, not people. Constructive criticism only. No assumptions. This is the whole point of the seminar. So no reinforcing stereotypes. We'll question stereotypes rather. Of course, engage and participate. If you can turn on your cameras, that would help me to, anyway, there are only two participants, so it would really help if you could use the chat for reactions, participate a little. If I have some faces to look at, it would be great. Now, what will we talk about today? We'll talk about some terminology today. This will be a quick addressing of terminology, which I'm sure you have already discussed in other seminars, which is why I wanted to just go over it quickly. We'll talk about certain gender neutral teaching strategies. And because we have a few participants only, I would really love if you could contribute to this as well. We'll talk about gendered language and how it affects how we think about things. And finally, we'll talk about some myth busting. We'll do some myth busting. So first, before we start, can both of you help me categorize these adjectives? What category would you put these adjectives into? You can use the chat or you can tell me orally. Since there's just two participants, it would be quicker to just share orally. Arnama, would you like to categorize?
Well, all these terminologies are applicable for both men and women, but I would say the caring word is more towards for the females as compared to males. That is my response.
Okay, sure. Sonia ma'am just joined, so I'll just tell you what we are talking about. We're talking about how these adjectives should be categorized. So if I had to ask you, categorize these adjectives, what would you say? And Parna ma'am's perspective was that maybe most of these words can apply to both men and women, but maybe specifically caring is a word that would probably be more applicable to women. Sonia ma'am, Punita ma'am, do you agree? Do you disagree? Anything you would like to add?
Yes, ma'am. Caring, beautiful, and emotional goes with feminine.
Okay. Sonia
and
ma'am,
strong, aggressive, and logical is more towards masculine.
So is this what you feel it is, or is this what you have been told it is? Punita ma'am?
This
Actually,
is
Parna ma'am, I would
general
ask also the same.
General observation.
No, for me, I feel I have seen very emotional men, and as well as on the contrary, if I would say male are aggressive, I have seen very aggressive females as well. So I am, whatever I'm saying on the basis of my experience.
Which is why you actually almost did not categorize anything into male and female. Of course, our topic is gender, which is why the first thing that came into categorization. Also, I've kind of tricked you into thinking of male and female with those two pictures there. But to be fair, I did not say categorize into men and women or male and female. I just said categorize. You could actually say that, okay, I'll categorize this into strong, caring, beautiful, logical, emotional as positive things, and aggressive as a negative thing. Correct? That way, we are still categorizing, but we are not categorizing them as female and male. Correct? So, and Punita ma'am and Parna ma'am, both I would like to commend you on your candidness. I would say that yes, this is how we are not exactly taught. I wouldn't say we are taught to categorize this things like this, but this is what we stereotypically think of when we think of men are. And then if we think of adjectives, those are the things that come to mind, that, oh, they are logical, they are aggressive, they are strong, women are caring, women are beautiful, women are emotional, and so on and so forth. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's the problem is when you say when you stop saying women are this way and you start saying women can only be this way or men can only be this way. That
Ma'am,
is the issue.
exceptional cases are there.
Actually, I would argue that it's not about exceptions, it's about our perception. The moment we see a woman who is strong, immediately, oh, she's strong for a woman. Correct? And I know that we see these things have become so ingrained in our mind that it becomes an unconscious thing that we do. So I want everyone to just keep that in your mind as we go through this seminar today. Okay? Now, before we start, I want to get this out of the way. I honestly feel that in India, we are not dealing with this much because of whatever reason. But I still want to address this. And if at any point anybody feels that, okay, this is something I do deal with and I do want some guidance on this, please stop me and ask me. I will definitely address it. Instead, I wanted to kind of focus my attention mostly on the aspects of, the entire gamut of gendered teaching strategies or non-gendered, gender-neutral teaching strategies. But quickly, I'll go over these 4 words that are often confused and people are not sure what it means. People are not sure what we should do about it. So first is biological sex. When I say biological sex, basically when you were born, you came out of your mother and the doctor looked at you and said, okay, this is, you have a girl, you have a boy. Sometimes in some rare cases, the doctor may not be even able to tell. So whatever sex, like basically based on your genitals, was assigned to you, that is your biological sex. Now, gender identity is how you feel on the inside. How do I feel female? Do I feel male? Gender expression is what I choose to do with my outwardly appearance. So I might be a woman and I'm wearing jewelry, I'm wearing a little bit of lipstick. This is my gender expression. I've decided to express as a woman. And sexual orientation is who you are attracted to. Now, while the standard thing that we expect is that, okay, if I'm born with, like, if I'm assigned a female sex, I will have a gender identity which is female. I will express as a female, and I will also be attracted to the opposite gender, male. It's not necessary. None of these have anything to do with each other. Sometimes, I'm sure people on the panel also agree that sometimes we have those days when you're like, I am a female, but I just feel like wearing a certain, male oriented clothes, or today I feel this way. There are these typical terms that you use often. I heard my child's friend's mother refer to her as a tomboy. And this is something I've heard all my life because I've been called a tomboy since childhood. And I feel like we need to stop assigning such terminology simply because there is no need for that. Because why do you want to make the child suddenly aware of, oh, this is my biological gender and this is my gender expression. Oh, I'm a girl and I'm expressing like a boy. I don't like to wear frocks, and that is an issue. That is something out of the ordinary. Why do you want to put that into your child's brain, right? So that is the only thing I would say for this, especially because I feel like this is something that mostly is dealt with at home. If outwardly something is being dealt with, it is mostly related to gender identity and gender expression, which we will talk about a little bit more detail when it comes to us as teachers and what we can do about it. Now coming to gender neutral teaching strategies. Now, I'm sure these are obvious, and before I start, I would like to say, if you think about it, when you look at the topic gender sensitivity, I feel like the people who are here are the ones who are already gender sensitive, like sensitive towards the way they speak, how they are addressing gender, things like that. The people, and honestly, you are not the people who need this. You are the people who already are aware. That's why you're here to discuss this, right? Probably the people who genuinely need this are really, really sexist will not be here because I'm not aware that I am sexist, right? That kind of thing. But then what's the point of this entire session? Well, at least in my head, the whole point is to make sure that we sensitize some of us so that slowly and gradually it spreads. So I will not be able to reach every person in your life who is not sensitive to gender issues, everybody who's like being sexist in your life. But maybe you can reach one person, and that one person, if you change their perspective, that itself would, I would say, is my job well done. So keeping that in mind, what do you mean by gender neutral teaching strategies? These are obvious things like equal opportunities for classroom participation. So things like, when children put up their hands, who do you give chance to more? It should not be gendered. And this is a thing that I have noticed in co-education classes, schools, where certain games are given only to boys or certain games are given only to girls. So girls will play kho-kho while boys are playing cricket, things like that. Have any of you noticed these things? Teachers, are you here?
Yes, I feel that usually happens when it is sports day. Girls are asked to play kho and boys are playing mainly football, and you're right on that point.
Agree. I'm personally from a girls' school, so it was only after I started working that I got to know that this is a thing. Especially coming from a school which was very particular about sports. Like our sports day used to be a whole entire thing. It used to be hosted by hosted in a military area, things like that. So considering that, I always thought this is normal. Girls play everything, and I'm assuming boys also play everything. I never even gave it a thought. And afterwards, I realized, okay, this is not like, this is an anomaly. This is not the standard thing. And I guess personally, you might not be able to do anything about it, but I think one thing you could all do is just plant that seed, plant that question in your principal or your sports teacher's mind. Why can the girls not play cricket, or why can the boys not play kho, or why can't we have a team where there are both boys and girls as players, maybe equal number to just make it fair, but why can't we do that? Try it out. Okay, not maybe you're not going to do that on sports day, but how about doing it on a small level when they're playing on a regular basis in their day-to-day PT classes, right? So just asking these questions really helps a lot with, putting that question in their mind. Even if the PE teacher is going to tell you that no, that's not possible, that's not practical, or something like that, at least they had to think about it. That one question, that one thought that came into their mind, that itself can be a huge thing. Coming to the second point, which is diverse role models in textbooks. Now, most of us do not get to choose our textbooks, right? But if there is something that you notice, okay, this is strange, why are they only talking about, I think this used to be a case more when we were studying than now, because now even CBSE has mentioned that they want to eliminate all kind of gendered language. So when we talk about, the doctor is always a man and the nurse is always a woman, or the firefighter is a man and the teacher is a woman, or even if they show like a house, the man is sitting and reading a newspaper, the woman is cooking in the kitchen. So those kind of gendered role models that we have in textbooks, we are trying to eliminate those, and we are trying to make it more gender neutral, more diverse. Hopefully, you are, already finding such diverse role models in textbooks. But in case sometimes things slip through the cracks, right? I do get a little annoyed when people kind of make a huge deal out of it instead of actually, solving it on your level. So suppose I get a textbook in which I am seeing that, okay, the boy is sitting and asking his mother for water, and mother is bringing the water in a tray. I don't have to, like, of course, I'll take it up with the management that, can we change the textbook, things like that. But at that moment, what can I do? Can't I just address it in class itself? Kids, what do you think is happening here? Do you think there's something, like, is there an issue here? We can address it in class, right? So even if there are no diverse role models in textbooks, you can create the diversity by just questioning it. It's, after all, your classroom. What happens in your classroom, you are responsible for. Correct? And finally, make sure that you're rotating classroom responsibilities. I don't think I have really seen this as an issue in most of the schools that I have taught in, but this could be an issue in some other places, maybe. Monitors only being a certain gender. So this is, again, I have seen both ways. I have seen people complaining. So these are other children who have complained, not from my school or the places that I have taught, where children say things like, oh, some children complain that it's only boys who are assigned responsibilities because they are seen as leaders. Some other people say that only girls are assigned responsibilities because they are seen as more responsible, more likely to get things done. So I don't know how this is working out, but I hope that is not happening with you, or you are not unconsciously doing it either. So make sure that there is a rotational way of doing it. And this is something that, again, in your class, you are the leader. Be the leader and get it done. Correct? Now, coming to common phrases that reinforce stereotypes. Can anyone tell me what is wrong with these terms? A lot of us have probably heard this when we were growing up. Can anyone tell me any one maybe thing that you can point out and say, okay, this is the reason this doesn't work out, or this is the reason that we should not be using this language? Punita ma'am, we've not heard a lot from you today. Care to
Sorry,
share anything?
I'm traveling, so
Okay, no issues.
uh, just uh, just to listen,
No
I have
issues.
opened.
No issues.
Well, that statement, like stop crying like girls, it's wrong, because everybody should be allowed to express their emotions.
Okay.
Crying
And
is an emitting of emotion, but so that anybody can do. There's nothing wrong if even if a man cries.
absolutely. In fact, it is cathartic. It helps you get rid of that. There is a reason, they say, right, that men are more likely to have heart attacks. There's a reason for it. It's not by chance. We have created this kind of a society where men are kind of encouraged to keep their emotions hidden. Women are encouraged to just deal with things. So, and certain emotions are considered good. So, men being angry is considered good. Women being sad is okay. But if you swap those two
Ma'am,
emotions, immediately
ma'am,
everybody has an issue with it. Correct?
ma'am,
I agree.
my husband is more sensitive than myself.
Exactly. That's what I was saying, that there is nothing wrong with it. It's just that we are so worked up about these things that it not only puts pressure on us as women, but also men, because they have these responsibilities that they're supposed to take care of. Same thing in now, instead of saying stop crying like a girl, what could we say instead? This is a question I had for all of you. Instead of that, what can we say instead? You see a child crying, you don't want the child to cry, right? So what could you say?
Try to be
We can
strong.
no, we can say ask that child that how does crying help you?
Okay.
And if the child is not able to answer, then we can say, if you stop crying, we will try to look for a solution to your problem.
I think there are two perspectives that I saw. I believe Punita ma'am was saying that we should tell them, stop crying, like be brave. So now depends on what it is. Now, if the child is crying because they got less marks, the way to kind of deal with that situation will be completely different. If the child is crying because they fell and scraped their knee, completely different situation, right? So we don't have a blanket solution for anything. We need to go on a situation basis. So what I would say is, in case it is something that really doesn't need a solution, it's more like the child is filled up with emotion, maybe give them that time. Give them, say something like, I understand you're feeling sad. Do you want to go to the washroom, wash your face, and come back? Instead of saying, oh, why are you crying? What is wrong with you? Don't make it a fault of theirs. And like Parna ma'am was saying, that if there is a solution, get that solution. You have a scraped knee, okay, let's wash it. Actually, just washing, even if you're putting Dettol and it's burning, that taking that attention away can actually help in that case. If it is about something somebody hurt them emotionally, in that case, you can actually have a conversation with them, a one-on-one conversation with them, and get it solved. I'll quickly address all the other things as well. So instead of saying man up, say be brave, because bravery is not a gendered quality. Correct? Instead of saying, oh, girls are to be seen, not heard, just say, can we have a little silence? It doesn't have to be girls or boys making noise. It just can be a gender neutral thing that you say. And I think this is a very convent thing. I've heard this all my life, saying that if you're, sitting with your legs spread or something like that, oh, how do young ladies sit? No, just sit straight. That's it. Why do we need to make it a ladies versus gents thing? Again, we say things
Like to say sorry, I'm interrupting.
no, I need interruptions. These are not
We say,
interruptions.
how do ladies sit? We say that because we expect the ladies to sit cross-legged. because if you are wearing short skirts and all, then the way of sitting is cross-legged. That is the reason we used to say, we were taught like this, how do young ladies sit?
Um,
I
yes, but
feel that is the reason that we have been always been told how the young ladies sit, and when we were taught how to sit, that is the reason that you are supposed to sit cross-legged. If in case you are wearing a short dress, I think that is the reason, and maybe there's something wrong in it. I don't know.
no, there's nothing wrong in it. The thing is that if there is, okay, imagine the situation. It's a mixed group. Boys and girls both are there. And we want to address this. Maybe somebody is sitting in a way that it's not looking nice. Maybe they are wearing a frock or a skirt or a dress, which is making it look awkward. If we address it in that way, oh, how do young ladies sit? Now everybody knows, oh, we are supposed to look at the ladies who's sitting awkwardly. Just say, okay, all of you, back straight, legs together, sit properly. Do you understand? It's not about, so if I am teaching my daughter, then I will specifically say, okay, if you sit like this, because you're wearing a skirt, people can look up your skirt. So we should sit like this. And this is the way, either put both legs on one side or cross your legs, things like that. But if we address it in a common place by saying that, oh, how do young ladies sit? Then it becomes something that we have pointed out. That's the only reason.
Yeah,
I hope
yes,
that,
I agree to you. Maybe the place where we are using it, we need to be careful.
Correct.
Or
Absolutely. Next is girls are naturally more nurturing. That sounds like a positive thing, doesn't it? So what's wrong with saying that?
I feel that way we are shifting the onus only to the ladies.
Correct. We are basically saying, I haven't watched this movie. If anyone has, please let me know. There was this movie called Mission Mangal. A friend of mine watched this movie and was telling me that apparently there is one scene in that where they are kind of celebrating a certain milestone that they have reached. And in that, they show all these women getting together and making food for the entire this thing. The men are shown, bringing the gas cylinders and things like that, and the women are shown making puris. This honestly is something that probably happens in regular offices as well. But the thing is, when she saw it being shown on like on the big screen, she felt that suddenly I became so aware that yes, I also do this. If there is an office party where we are having a potluck, everybody brought food from their house, but making sure everybody is getting one plate, making sure that everybody has a place to sit, these kind of things we do. But if there are no chairs, the men will go and get the chairs. And when she said that, when I saw it on screen, I realized that yes, this is what we do. And there is nothing wrong if a man gives a plate to a woman, or a woman pulls a chair. The thing is, because we have made it so gendered, we become a little bit more aware of these things. Sorry. And that makes it a little jarring. So sometimes the result of this is also that we don't hold each other responsible for the things that it's not gendered. Bringing a chair is not that big of a deal. Anybody can do it, right? So those kind of things, we don't need to put a gender to it. And finally, boys will be boys. Usually this is not said in a situation where it is a positive thing. It is usually said where they are being boisterous, they are being naughty, things like that. If it is something serious, we need to address that, okay, this behavior is not okay. If it is something innocuous, then again, we don't need to address it as a boy thing or a girl thing. We can just say that, okay, I think we can allow this much of, I don't want to call it naughtiness, but just being a child. right? So let's again not make it a gendered thing. The girls are naturally more nurturing thing we already discussed, which is bringing me to the next point, which is sometimes we forget that our compliments can be problematic too. Now, when you're saying something like, oh, you're really good at math for a girl, you're so sensitive for a boy, you're too pretty or too handsome to be smart, because people who are good looking cannot be smart. Or, when you say something to a boy like, oh, you cook, that's unexpected. Or, I'm not brave enough to dress like that. So, like that usually means dressing in a manner which is not typical to your gender. Or you're not like other girls, meaning to say, even if you're saying it as a compliment, meaning to say that other girls are not like you, not good enough as you, right? Things like this. You're so emotional. It's cute when you say that to a boy. Things like this. We need not make it gendered. Give a compliment as a compliment without bringing gender into it. So one way to address things like this, if you see these things happening, one way to address it is just a simple, sharing during circle time. In fact, in the only year that I ever taught social science was when I was teaching social science to a 4th grade class. And I remember one of the topics we had was about stereotypes. What are stereotypes? Why we should not, give in to stereotypes? How it's a good thing to be different from what is stereotyped about you. So I remember we had this session where we all just shared what is a stereotype associated with me. So me as in, it could be based on gender, caste, religion, anything. And how I'm not, I don't align with that stereotype. So I remember I started by saying that I am South Indian, but I can't stand the smell of coffee. And I don't like coconut in all the food. It started like that. It was a region thing, right? And slowly and gradually, all the children started sharing. And we are talking about 4th graders, little ones, right? And yet slowly I noticed that it became more gendered. A boy saying that I'm a boy, but I cry all the time. Some girl saying I'm a girl, but I can defeat all the boys here in arm wrestling. Things like that, right? And I really love that, because once you address it, then you realize that yes, I am saying that this is a stereotype, and stereotype means somewhere there was probably a reason at some point of time for the stereotype to exist. But then if there are so many people who are breaking the stereotype, so many people who are exceptions to the rule, maybe we should forget about the rule now. Correct? Move on. Let's talk about people being strong, people being emotional, people being brave. Rather than making it a gender thing. Now, quick myth busting. One is that there is this notion that, stereotypes came from caveman origin. So why do women take care of the house and men go out and earn money? Well, because men were hunters and women were gatherers. There is that image that you see that the actual caveman is confused. Wait, what? That's not true. Actually, what happened is that by the time we started doing research on all of these things, there was a lot of gendered bias in the researchers as well, because most researchers were men, right? So there was a bias there, and that is why all the proof that proved this hypothesis started becoming more and more prominent, and all the proof that proved it wrong, it started being seen as an exception rather than the rule. And think about it. Is it even practical to say that, okay, I will sit in the house and wait for my caveman husband to bring food home? It's not practical. And in fact, there has been some proof which shows that this was just an idea that we as researchers at some point of time superimposed on the dead cave people. That was not how things were. Second is that, all this is a Western concept. And when I say all this, I mean sharing responsibility, even the idea of being transgender. I think if you know anything about the Indian culture, we know that we are very, very accepting. In fact, the whole concept of Ardhanarishwar, that every woman has a man in you and every man has a woman in you. In you meaning the the qualities. It's a very Indian thing. It's not a Western concept. It's just that it's convenient for us to just demarcate and say stay in your lane. It's okay if you want to stay in your lane, but make sure that you're not forcing others to do the same. Let every person make their own choice. Yes. Another is that gender sensitive teachers treat everyone the same. Oh, saying something like, I don't see gender. Now, I would like you all to focus on that picture on the bottom left corner. The difference between equality and equity. Equality would be, I have 3 boxes, 3 people. I will give each person 1 box. Equity would be making it fair, making sure everybody is reaching that goal. Now, usually as school teachers, we don't really need to do this in real life because in school, we don't really have that kind of a huge gap that we need to fill. But equity would be something like if you see that, okay, this child is suffering because of some kind of gendered issues that the child is facing at home, maybe provide 1 extra kind word to them. So there you're not being same to all. You're not treating everyone the same, but you're being kind. You're maybe being a little extra kind to that 1 child. So you're not treating everyone the same, but you're actually treating them not equally, but equitably. Making sure that every child is really being given the nurturing nature that it needs from the teacher. Even if you can't help, maybe if the child is not getting that at home. Then there is this notion that, men are getting victimized. I would actually argue the exact opposite, that men are getting victimized, but it is within the patriarchy that men are getting victimized. If you look at the picture on the bottom right corner, all these things, the things written on those imaginary biceps, is all the things that, again, the man doesn't get to choose, right? Oh, don't wear pink. Don't, be aggressive. Don't cry. Earning is your responsibility. Be the man. This is a girl thing, and so you cannot do it. Things like that. Don't be emotional. So all of these things, when the man is given this whole huge baggage of taking care of these things, of course they feel that pressure as well. So just having some, being able to share that load with your female counterparts is great. Let's allow for that. Men are not being victimized. In fact, I would say whenever we assign certain things to certain people, and this is not just about gender, it's about caste, religion, all of these things. When you assign compulsorily that, okay, this is what you're supposed to do and don't step outside this box, this is your box, it becomes problematic. I don't know if there are many people who want to share, but I would love to hear what your gender sensitivity superpower is. A few things I have kind of given examples of where there is a stereotype smasher who breaks all stereotypes. There is inclusive illustrator who makes sure, remember the example I gave of the household picture. They make sure that there is inclusivity there. Maybe sometimes the boy and the girl are playing together. Sometimes the man is bringing water and the woman is maybe watering the plants, things like that. Bias detector, where somebody else might not realize it, but you detect it and immediately point it out. Maybe you can't do anything about it, but at least you point it out, and maybe one person question themselves. That itself is a great thing. And finally, equal energizer, a person who's able to bring that sense of equality within the classroom. This could be something as simple as saying that, okay, let's all do XYZ, rather than, okay, boys, I need these chairs moved, so you move the chairs. Or girls, I need you all to make beautiful illustrations for the board. Boys are supposed to not have good handwriting, things like that. Not doing that itself is your gender sensitivity superpower. If anybody would like to share what your gender sensitivity superpower is, I would love to hear. You can put it in the chat box, please. All right. So before we go, if anyone can share what gender sensitivity you gained. So if there are these gender sensitivity glasses through which you can look at the world, if there is anything that you gained out of these glasses this session today, I would love for you to share that with me. All right, then. If not, thank you. That was my session. And before I end, I would like to mention, if you have any feedback for me, you can go ahead and share. If you have any questions, also please feel free. But apart from that, if there is nothing else, then I would like to just share that if in case you want to gain a certificate for this session, then what you have to do is make sure that you pay 50 rupees for the certificate only. I'll just share the number on which you have to send this amount. Once. So please pay 50 rupees to this number, and once you're done, take a screenshot, share it to that number itself along with your name, complete name, including the title. And if there is nothing else, we can end the session today. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.